Is that correct? Yes. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Sina Singha Jai Singha Jai Jai Singha Praladesa Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. On this auspicious day of the appearance of Lord Nrsingadev, we want to just discuss a few things, and I thought let me just begin somewhere at a point in the pastime, because it's a very long pastime, so much to discuss. I thought of taking to the Nrsinga Purana and discuss one passage from the Nrsinga Purana. We know the same passage from Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is the moment where Prahlad appears before his father, and that his father is asking, "Oh, my dear son, please tell me what is the best you have learned," and takes the son of his lap and so on, and then Prahlad speaks out about Lord Vishnu, and that's like so. One day, this is the Nrsinga Purana. One day, Hiranyakasipu saw his son, who had just come from the Gurukul. He was surrounded by a number of women at that time. He saw that Prahlad had large eyes and a slate was in his hand. A mark of discus was made at a corner of that slate, and the name of Sri Krishna was written beautifully. He became glad and called Prahlad near him. He kissed him and said, "Oh son, your wise mother appreciates you. Hence, tell me all that you've learned from your teacher. Firstly, think properly and make me to listen to your interesting lesson, which has been duly learned by you." The devotee of Vishnu since birth, Prahlad replied happily, "I make you to listen to the learned lesson after saluting the Supreme Lord Govinda, who is worshipped in the three worlds. Having heard having heard from the mouth of his own son how he honored the enemy, Hiranyakasipu was extremely annoyed, but he concealed it from Prahlad and feigned to laugh loudly, and as if he's really glad, he then embraced Prahlad and said, "Dear son, listen to my benevolent words. The person bringing in their tongue the name of Ram, Krishna, Govind, Vishnu, Madhava, or Sripati are my enemy and got punishment for such default under my administration. Tell me, from where have you heard this prayer of God in such childhood?" Having heard the statement of his father, Prahlad replied, "O Arya, it is not good to listen the same from your mouth. The man who recited Krishna attains to the undecaying position as it provides will all luxuries and increases the consciousness of a man to his religion, and attains an eternal position. The evil of criticizing Lord Krishna is heinous and is unacceptable. It is therefore necessary for you to recite the names of Ram, Madhava, and Krishna, etc., so as that the evil that you have committed, will not affect you, and that you become purified. It is most benevolent to practice, and in spite of you being my father, I humbly request you that you should take shelter of Lord Vishnu, who is the Supreme Lord of all and removes all sin." So Hiranyakasipu was feeling greatly disgusted, and he condemned his son by saying that he had fallen down from his status and ordered him to go away from that place at once. He then ordered his officials to go and bring the teachers in the court duly tied in shackles. The demons went and brought the teacher of Prahlad there. The teacher was wise and therefore submitted. O killer of the gods, utilize your conscience a little bit and give up the anger. You've defeated all the rulers in 3 worlds so many times by virtue of the proper application of your mind and not in the state of fury. Then imagine that what will be the use of your anger on a helpless man is for application of your mind and not in the state of fury. Then imagine that what will be the use of your anger on a helpless man is for application of your mind and not in the state of fury. Then imagine that what will be the insert in you in any way because you're born from me. All this is the evil act of these Brahmins. Foolish boy, give up the company of the shrewd Brahmins who always favor Vishnu, as these Brahmins have faded the brilliance which was only in the interests of our royal clan. It is the impact of society that makes a man either good or bad. A man is known by the society in which he moves. Even a gem starts smelling if it is dipped into the mud. It is therefore good for a man that he should resort to his own near and dear ones for the prosperity of the entire clan. O inert son, it is the duty of my son that he should slaughter the people who favor Vishnu. Instead of performing your loyalty, you're praying to God Vishnu. Whether you have lost the shame even and raising queries frequently before me, I'm the sovereign ruler of the entire universe and your father. Still you desire to have another ruler of your own? Dear son, nobody here is his own master in this world. It is the chivalrous and warrior-like who enjoy the wealth, and he is the only master. He only is the supreme lord, as you see, who have conquered the 3 worlds. Hands, give up immediately your ignorance and resort to the gallantry which only is benevolent for our clan. Other people too will tease and scorn you by saying that this boy prays to the gods even after his birth in the dynasty of the Daijas. It is strange, as if the cat prays to the mouse and the peacock worship the serpents. Indeed, such activity is the indicator of destruction. My foolish son, Prahlad, falls down from the position of luxury due to his evil acts. See that he's worth honor, and yet praying to those who are inferior to us and observing the discipline imposed by us. O fool, my prosperity is before your eyes, and yet you dare to recite the names of God before me? Remember that Hari, to which you are giving such importance, does not deserve such honor, and praying to him is merely a hurdle to progress. O king, with these words, Hiranyakasipu became furious, and he looked with cross eye at the teacher of Prahlad. The teacher was shivering with fear. He ordered, O stupid Brahmin, leave this place at once and arrange for a good education for my son hereinafter. The Brahmin serving under that wicked king returned to his home, considering it as graceful of the king, and started worship of Hiranyakasipu instead of God Vishnu from that day. It is true that a greedy man can do everything in order to give bread to his belly. Yeah, I really like that he was, that he was start worshiping Hiranyakasipu instead of Lord Vishnu. Yes, so even in this way, because the Brahmins, they were being maintained by Hiranyakasipu. and so it is exposed. That a materialistic Brahmana can sacrifice his principles. But Prahlad, of course, has a totally different understanding, because when Prahlad is preaching to his demoniac schoolmates, which comes after this episode, right? Prahlad goes back into the school, and then Prahlad begins to preach to his schoolmates. And one of the first things he points out is that all kinds of arrangements for material sustenance, they have no benefit at all, because really it is about real shelter is not found into economic development. Hiranyakasipu was like very impressed by his wealth. Hiranyakasipu was just pointing out that, in front of me, all my wealth, you are acting like this, but you're realizing, young man, that like I'm maintaining you, and you're realizing, that if you're not pleasing me, that what will become of you? Are you realizing that you'll depend on whatever I give you? Prahlad, as he preached to his demoniac schoolmates, he said, in the tender age of childhood, when everyone is bewildered, one passes 10 years. Similarly, in boyhood, engaged in sporting and playing, one passes another 10 years. In this way, 20 years are wasted. Similarly, in old age, when one is an invalid, unable to perform even material activities, one passes another 20 years wastefully. Yeah. One whose mind and senses are uncontrolled becomes increasingly attached to family life, because the insatiable, lusty desires are a very strong illusion. In such a man's life, the remaining years are also wasted, because even during those years he cannot engage himself in devotional service. And then he speaks out strongly against household life. What person too attached to household life, due to being unable to control his senses, can liberate himself? An attached householder is bound very strongly by ropes of affection for his family. But of course, if we discuss that family life would be connected to the Supreme Lord, then that same family life can liberate us. Because after all, in this world, nirbandha Krishna sambandha yukta vairagya uchite. So rather than giving up family life, one can engage family life in service of the Lord. Of course, family life, though, in itself brings plenty of distractions, and therefore it can be challenging. Therefore, the sannyas position is an advantage, because one has time and energy. One preserves all his time, one preserves all his energy just for the Supreme Lord, and there's no need for any indirect activity. Whereas the householder has to independently work, make money, and do a lot of mundane activity. Then he can purify that, and by connecting it with Krishna. But the sannyasi just spends all his time just glorifying Krishna, and somehow or other, then he's maintained by the arrangement of Krishna and the devotees. In this way, we can appreciate that household life is a little complicated, but in itself, no impediment to serving the Supreme Lord if one uses that household ashram in devotional service and worships Krishna at home and offers anything one eats at home, and so on. Anyway, we're seeing that Prahlad Maharaj is preaching pure devotional service, and this is very nice. We'll just take another random verse from as he's teaching his demoniac schoolmates. The Supreme Personality of God, the Supreme Controller, who's infallible and indefatigable, is present in different forms of life, from the inert living being, Stavara, such as the plants, to Brahma, the foremost created living being. He's also present in the varieties of material creations and in the material elements, the total material energy and the modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, as well as the unmanifested material nature and the false ego. Although he's one, he's present everywhere, and he's also the transcendental supersoul, the cause of all causes, who's present as the observer in the course of the heart of all living entities. He's indicated that which is pervaded, and as the all-pervading supersoul, but actually cannot be indicated. He's changed as an undivided. He's simply perceived as the supreme Satchidananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Being covered by the curtain of the external energy to the atheist, he appears non-existent. Yeah, so this is important because we have to understand that the devotee has to totally see Krishna everywhere and see everything connected with Krishna. When a devotee sees everything connected with Krishna, then there's no need for any for becoming bewildered by the illusory energy. So in this way, Prahlad is totally teaching the sons of the demons about Krishna consciousness. And in this way, he starts a whole movement in that school. And it is just getting too much. Of course, he's brought before his father the second time. And again, he speaks about Vishnu. At that point, Hiranyakasipu wants to kill his son. In the Nrsimha Purana, it is said that Hiranyakasipu said that you should be killed, you should be cut into many pieces, and your heart should be fed to the vultures. In this way, Hiranyakasipu is expressing his demoniac tendencies. And Prahlad is always fearless. Prahlad, because Prahlad has developed as love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has full faith that all happiness will be found only in the Supreme Lord and nowhere else. And he sees how the Supreme Lord is unlimitedly merciful and kind. And therefore he's convinced that the Lord will surely protect him. Anyway, and then Hiranyakasipu gives his demons the order to pierce him with weapons, and it's said that then the Lord covers Prahlad. He covers him with a layer of protective energy, and the weapons just bounce off the body of Prahlad, leaving him totally unharmed. And as they bounce off the body of Prahlad, they cut the body of the demons themselves. So, and in this way they inflict pain upon themselves. So we are looking at how Prahlad is at all times totally fearless. His fearlessness comes from not only philosophically accepting that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and the full shelter, but realizing thoroughly within his heart that the Supreme Lord is the source of everything, is the purpose of everything, and that everything is simply the energy of the Lord, and that the Lord is all good. Therefore, whatever will happen, the Lord is all good, and one will be always protected. So I'll go to a few descriptions of Lord Nrsimhadev. Oh, sorry. Then we find here, Hiranyakasipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Nrsimhadev standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold. His shining mane, so molten gold is reddish gold, right? His shining mane, which expanded the dimension of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, and his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, his waist thin, and the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions as he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conch shell, disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. Yeah, so we're looking at the Nrsimhadev was very large, much bigger than Hiranyakasipu. And the Nrsimhadev had many, many arms. And with these many arms, as he comes out of the pillar, he just doesn't just come out of the pillar, and he doesn't just stand there. Already, I mean, he is extremely angry. He has roared, and he comes out, and he just starts ripping the demons to shreds, right, with all his arms. And he has weapons, and he kills one after another. Then Hiranyakasipu attacked, and of course, then Nrsimhadev killed Hiranyakasipu. Hiranyakasipu was never able to understand that who Lord Nrsimhadev was. He could not fully comprehend that he was the Supreme Lord. That was because that form, that was sort of like, it left an element of doubt. Was it Vishnu or not? Who is this creature? And the demon was very much concerned with his own greatness and his own power. And therefore, it never occurred to him that he could be defeated. He thought, like, what's the point? There's no question that he can fight with me. Nobody can fight with me. So, I'll just kill him, and that's it. So this is this sense of false confidence is typical for a materialist. Because the truth is that we are fallible. Here in this world, we are fallible, and therefore we can be, any moment, we can be destroyed. We are never safe in the material world. Padam, dvipadam, natesam. And death is inevitable, and there's no question that we're going to avoid it. And Hiranyakasipu tried to avoid it. by his benedictions, he also was not able to avoid it. And in this case, death came in the form of Lord Nrsimhadev. Lord Nrsimhadev is for us a very important form. He is not only the protector against the demons, but he's also the protector of the demoniac mentality within. He is Vigna Vinasan. And that is specifically now in this movement of Lord Chaitanya, our first and foremost focus. Somehow or other, we pray to Prahlad. We pray to Prahlad to become like him, to become totally fearless in any situation, always relying on Krishna, and whatever Krishna arranges is simply good. So that is our meditation. Whatever comes is good, but it's easy. It's not so easy. As we see now, some demon virus has come to attack us, and this virus is something I was discussing it early today, how this virus can be anywhere. And the virus, it is even how can we protect ourselves from it? You just don't know when and where it will emerge. And that is a fact, that in this material world, how can we protect ourselves from anything or anyone? We just don't know. The only thing that is really sure is Krishna. And if we are sure, if we are sure that Krishna is our only shelter, then we are, then there's no anxiety. Then we know for certain. That we will be protected. And so it is this reliance that we have to develop. And it is like the demoniac schoolmates of Prahlad. It is detachment from material enjoyment that we have to develop. Therefore, the instructions to the demoniac schoolmates are very important, because they can help us to give up our faith in material life, material security. And in this way, we can take shelter. The Lord's form is extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resemble molten gold, his shining mane, which expand the dimension of a fearful face, his deadly teeth, his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword, his ears erect and motionless, his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain, his jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, his waist thin, and the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soda, spread in all directions as he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conch shell, disc, club, and lotus, and other natural weapons. Yeah. So Hiranyakasipu managed to slip from the grip of the Lord, and he thought that he had escaped, and he thought the Lord was afraid of his prowess. But then, making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who was extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakasipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakasipu moved sometimes in the sky, sometimes on the earth, his eyes closed because of fear of Nrsingadev's laughter. As a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a very phenomenal snake, Lord Nrsingadev captured Hiranyakasipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakasipu moved his limbs, there and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsingadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hands. Lord Nrsingadev's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsingadev, decorated with a garland of intestines, taken from Hiranyakasipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that had just killed an elephant. Well, okay, this is the dramatic moment of Hiranyakasipu, is his demise. So every demon will face that. Every materialist will face the inevitable destruction, and everything is being destroyed in the material world with time. So we had to develop this sense of focus on the Supreme Lord, and just be attached to Him, and not be attached to material things, because these material things, they will be destroyed. Then a little bit from Prahlad's prayers. Let me just see. Okay, I'll begin here. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple, instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? This is the symptom of a pure devotee. One should serve the spiritual master first. It's not that one should bypass the spiritual master and desire to serve the Supreme Lord. Yes, this Prahlad is greatly loyal to his spiritual master, feeling greatly indebted, and is ready to serve him. It's not so easy to serve the spiritual master, because we may serve the spiritual master in the material world, whereas Krishna, in the association with Krishna, we're in the transcendental. But what if in the course of service we have to interact with the material energy? That it can be difficult. But Prahlad was just dedicated to his service. My dear Lord, you alone manifest yourself as the entire cosmic manifestation. For you existed before the creation, you exist after the annihilation, and you are the maintainer between the beginning and the end. All this is done by your external energy through your actions, reactions with three modes of material nature. Therefore, whatever exists externally and internally is you alone. So Prahlad had this deep transcendental perspective that yes, here's the Supreme Lord, and he is manifesting all his energies. So he's never bewildered by the energy in itself. He was always seeing the energy in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And that is really what we are trying to cultivate by chanting Hare Krishna. Lord Nrsimhadev is particularly approached for our purification. One question that may be asked is, why are we worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev? Why don't we just worship Lord Krishna? Because Krishna is protecting the residents of Vrindavan in so many ways, and Krishna is so kind and merciful, and all these powerful demons come, and Krishna kills them all. So why do we need to turn to Lord Nrsimhadev? And that is a good question. One answer I could think of is that Lord Nrsimhadev is especially kind towards his devotee. After all, he has this huge body with all these arms and weapons. He has Vajranaga, Vajradamstra. He has nails like thunderbolts and teeth like thunderbolts. He is like so extremely powerful. He is so much the destroyer of all the enemies. But so when we look at Lord Nrsimhadev in all his power and all his ghastliness, in his fearsome appearance, then we should understand that he is especially soft-hearted, because he appeared in this very angry form because of his deep affection for Prahlad. Therefore, his motivation is actually deep affection. So, this Lord Nrsimhadev is by nature very soft-hearted, very compassionate. So we turn to Lord Nrsimhadev to somehow or other, to his compassion, yes, to his kindness, and pray that he may also drive all the demons out of our heart, because we are thoroughly kept in this, imprisoned by all these enemies, by lust, by greed, by anger, by envy, by all these qualities have just captured us and keep us imprisoned. And we pray to be released, and we know that we can't do it. We've tried, but it just didn't work. But Lord Nrsimhadev, he can do. He can drive away these impurities in the heart. So we're praying to Lord Nrsimhadev, please remove all these obstacles from our hearts. So that is the first and foremost prayer of the Vaishnava. Sometimes you see prayers which are more focused on protection from enemies, but we are particularly turning to these internal enemies: lust, greed, anger, illusion, madness, and envy, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, and matsarya. These 6 enemies, may Lord Nrsimhadev destroy these enemies, because these enemies are the problem. We have everything. We have devotional service. We have the mercy of the Vaishnavas. We have the holy name. We have every opportunity. But these 6 enemies, they always get in the way. Therefore, that's our first and foremost prayer. Please, please, my dear Lord, remove all these impurities from our hearts. It is mentioned in the Navadvip Taranga, written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes the Navadvip Mahatmya, where he describes the parikrama in Navadvip, and he describes the nature of the 9 islands. And then in the Navadvip Taranga, he goes on the same parikrama, goes to the same places, but this time we're getting the internal experience. And when coming to Nasringapalli, then he prays to Bhakti Vinasa, to remove the remover of the obstacles. If somehow or other these obstacles would be removed in our spiritual life, then we could easily, then we could take full advantage of this process, which is so powerful. Just chanting a little bit, and already taste is there. It is said that the materialist, he has taste for sense gratification. The devotee has taste to serve Krishna. And we somehow or other have taste for both. We have taste for both. But we condemn the taste we have for material things. We condemn it. We know that this taste is simply a trap, that the taste we have for material life is simply going to bring us more and more misery. So we're praying to the Lord. Oh, please, please, take this taste I have for material